will make history on August 29th. Because on August 29th, we will hold our semi-annual club competition. And everybody in this club is going to be involved, either through competing, which most of you will be, or taking on an active role. Now I should say that most of the roles have already been taken, but to compete is not to compete up against the other club members, it's to stretch yourself beyond where you currently are, so that later you'll never return to where you were. Now, more on this is from Raj, our president. So Raj, come on up.
Toastmaster International has 2 speeches during the year that's considered competition level. The first speech is international speech, that's done in the first 6 months of the year, and the second six months there's a speech competition called humorous speech. So that's what I'm going to talk to you about today. We have humorous speech and we have table topics. I'm not going to talk about table topics competition, I'm going to talk about the humorous speech. So what is a humorous speech? A humorous speech is any speech between 5 and 7 minutes. The only requirement of that speech, the only couple of requirements of that speech, it has to be funny, it has to be original. What that means is you cannot copy somebody else's speech and do it. However, you can use quotes from a different speech, but you have to quote whose quote you've used. It could be anything. So for example, the basic necessities for a speech, it is to have an opening, it has to have a middle, and it has to have a conclusion. Same requirement for a humorous speech. However, the difference between a humorous speech and a speech that's not humorous is it should have some element of a joke. It could be anything. It could be a dark humor, it could be a funny beginning, or it could be a sad beginning, it could end with a funny story, or with a punchline, or it can start with a joke and carry on. The requirement is it has to be funny. So it doesn't matter how you place your speech. For example, Marcus did a speech here regarding something written on his t-shirt. That would qualify 100% for a humor speech. He didn't know that, but at that, if he did that speech would be considered a humor speech. So when he did that as an icebreaker, I told him, no, that's not your icebreaker, because that speech falls in a different category. Now, all of you here know the fundamentals of a speech. It has to have a beginning, it has to have a body, and it has to have a conclusion. In a humor competition, same thing. You can either pick a certain event, or make it a long event, or a certain time. Some people have done speeches just saying 10 minutes, I was on the train and this was my experience. So it doesn't matter what topic you pick about, you can pick about anything. Just try and make sure that there is some sort of a punchline, there is some sort of a humor content in it, or there is some part of it that's a little funny, right? Camilo did a speech today, it was his icebreaker today, but he had some funny moments in his speech. That can be considered as a humor speech. So there is no real definition. As long as there is something funny about it, it's considered a humor speech.
What's the percentage of funny? What's the percentage?
There is no real percentage. It depends on your audience. Good question. Depends on your audience. If you're talking to audience who are 80 years old and all of them are your judges, and if you tell them a teenage joke, they might not understand it that well, right? So and the judges there are lots of judges, right? So it's up to you how you create the story. Some stories are really funny. There are lots of punchlines. Some of them are only punchline towards the end. It's a really, really sad story. You take it till the end and then it ends on a funny note, right? So there is no ratio per se. It depends on the judge. It depends on your audience. But basically, your judges. You don't know who your judges are, right? Because there are 5 judges and they are evaluating you differently. So when we finish this meeting, I'm going to give you a handout for what judges are looking for in speeches and what you should be touching. At certain points, the judges are going to look for, and you should be touching those points. So in a nutshell, everyone here is qualified. There's no requirement. You don't have to do 6 speeches. You don't have to have done 4 speeches before. The only thing, you have to be a good standing member of the club. That means you've paid your subscriptions, right? It's only for members. Guests, unfortunately, are not allowed for the competition, right? So any other questions before I give back the stage to Melissa? I will give you a handout which explains how. It's just a one-page handout. Everybody will get one.
Well, thank thank you, Raj, for your informative speech, but I have some questions on behalf of the group. And I think I'm speaking for everybody in here when I ask you these questions. First of all, why would I bother doing a competition? Why? I'm not interested. I'm not a competitive person, so why?
Great question. Why should you compete? Why are you in this club?
Because we compete all the time.
You compete all the time. That's a right answer. When you come on stage, when you are doing a speech, you're already competing. This is not a battle. You're not fighting against a 6-foot Marcus or Don. This is a matter of wit. With your language, you can win a competition. There are people who started with nothing and they have gone to the stage and said something funny and bang, it's a humor speech. Marcus, did you know the speech you did was a humor speech? Did you know that it qualified for a humor speech?
Yes.
You did? Okay. Did you know your speech qualified for a humor speech?
I don't know.
There you go. See? You already have the tools because you've been practicing it, you've been doing it. It's just a matter of getting a little bit out of your comfort zone and saying this is competition level. And when you're on the competition, when you're under pressure, most of you work way better. And we know that here in this club, especially when we've not had anybody as speakers and we've told guests and we've told new members to come up here and speak. And they have done way better jobs than when they've practiced their speech. So that's the reason that everybody here should compete.
Okay, thank you. And then what happens, so somebody in this club will win the competition that night, and we'll have guest judges as well as some of our club members, hire club members as judges, but mostly we'll have outside judges who you've never met before. It's a huge party, it's lots of fun. But what happens after the person wins here? Where do they go from there?
Alright, so this is the club level competition. So there'll be one person who will be chosen. It'll be number 1 and number 2, right? But only the first person moves on to the area level. Then the area level goes to the district level, and the district level goes further off, right? So the people who qualify here, so all the clubs, this is going to be happening in all clubs in BC. So we are in area 90, we are in district 96, there is district 21, they will also be having their competitions. But 96, from area, you will move on to your division, you will be moving from your division to your district, and you'll be competing against other clubs. Every club will produce one winner. So for some reason, if the first winner cannot make it to the finals, number 2 can take the place. So even though you come in second, you still have a choice of representing the club in the humorous competition.
Thank you, Raj.
Thank you.
I would like to add that the reason why this club will make history is because I was at an advanced orators club meeting last week, and I learned that less than 30% of clubs actually run a competition. Less than 30%. And of those, only a handful of people will actually participate. So that's why we're going to make club history by, number 1, having a competition, and then number 2, everybody participating. And like I said, it's just fun. It's going to be a good time. So more details to follow.
Nobody else has done it this way?
No. Yeah. So we're already winners, right? We're already winners.
So did Melissa tell you the good news? If you're a member of this club, you are doing the speech. You have for little less than 3 weeks. Don't worry, the pressure is not on you, the pressure is on your mentors. If you do not have a speech and if you do not know where to go, talk to your mentors. We want to break the record. We want every member of this club to compete. Every eligible member. Myself and George, we cannot compete, and Paolo cannot compete because we are district officers. So legally we cannot, technically we cannot compete. So we will not be competing, but everybody else in this audience, everybody else who are members of this club should be and will, not will, should really compete, right? So that's
August
the good news.
29th. August 29th.
We're going to break the record.
Yep.